The cafe was alive with sound, cups clinking, coffee machines hissing, soft chatter drifting through the air. But for Lila, the world was silent. She sat at a corner table, hands folded nervously, eyes darting to the door every few seconds. Tonight mattered. After years of loneliness, she was going on her first blind date. She'd met him online, Ethan. His messages were sweet, his jokes charming, his photos full of warmth. For weeks, she had rehearsed how the night might go, what she'd wear, how she'd smile, how she'd make him feel comfortable about her being deaf. Maybe, she dared to hope, he'd be the one who saw beyond her silence. Lila smoothed her dress and checked her reflection on her phone screen. Her hearing aid was hidden beneath her hair. Her heart beat fast, a mix of excitement and fear. At 7:10, he still hadn't arrived. She told herself he was just late. By 7:25, her fingers fidgeted against the cup. When the clock struck 7:32, the cafe door opened, and there he was. Ethan. Tall, handsome, with a confident smile that faded slightly as he spotted her. She waved. He approached, and she could tell from the way his mouth moved. He said, "Hey." She quickly signed, "Hi. I'm so happy to meet you." He blinked, confused. "What's that?" he asked, his tone uncertain. She pointed to her hearing aid and smiled gently. "I'm deaf," she mouthed, "but I can read lips." His smile froze. "Wait, you're deaf?" She nodded, still smiling. He ran a hand through his hair and let out an awkward laugh. "I didn't realize that." You didn't mention it." Her lips parted in shock. She had mentioned it. It was in her bio. She wanted to tell him, to explain, but before she could sign, he sighed. "Sorry," he muttered, shaking his head. "This isn't gonna work. I can't do this." And he left. No sound. No goodbye. Just the sight of his back disappearing out the cafe door. Lila sat frozen, her heart splintering into pieces she couldn't hold together. Around her, people sipped coffee and laughed. Life went on, indifferent to her pain. A single tear slipped down her cheek, falling into her untouched latte. She didn't notice the man at the next table watching her quietly. He wasn't staring out of pity, it was something else. Understanding. When she looked up, he caught her gaze. Then, slowly, he lifted his hands and signed, "You deserve better." Her breath caught. She blinked, unsure if she'd imagined it. But he signed again, his expression gentle and sure. "You deserve better." Tears welled in her eyes again, not from pain this time, but from something tender and unexpected. Someone understood her language. She signed back, "You know sign." He smiled. "My son. He's deaf too." Her eyes flicked down. A little boy sat beside him, maybe 6 years old, coloring on a napkin. He looked up at her, curious, and signed clumsily, "Hi." She laughed silently, her shoulders relaxing. The man, Ben, motioned to the empty seat across from him. "Would you like to join us?" She hesitated, then nodded, moving her cup to his table. They began to talk, with hands, with smiles, with shared silence. He told her his story, how his son, Oliver, was born deaf after a difficult birth. How his wife had left 2 years later, saying she couldn't handle it. He'd learned sign language from scratch, teaching himself to make sure his boy never felt alone. "It was hard," he signed, "but the best thing I ever did." Lila smiled, her fingers trembling slightly as she signed. Most people don't even try to understand. Ben's eyes softened. People are afraid of what they don't understand. But silence, it teaches you to listen differently. Oliver tugged Lila's sleeve, showing her his drawing, a stick figure family holding hands beneath a big yellow sun. He pointed at one of the figures and then at her, signing proudly, "That's you." Lila laughed, truly laughed, the kind that makes your eyes glisten. She had walked into this cafe hoping for love. She hadn't expected kindness. Hours passed unnoticed. They shared coffee, stories, laughter, and for the first time in years, she didn't feel broken or different. She felt seen. Then, the cafe door opened again. Ethan. He looked around, his eyes landing on her, sitting with Ben and Oliver, smiling, her hands moving fluidly as she signed. He hesitated, then approached. "Lila," he said. She turned slowly, her face calm, unreadable. I wanted to apologize," he said, stumbling over the words. "I didn't mean to be rude. It's just, I've never dated someone with, a condition." Lila read his lips carefully. A familiar ache tugged at her chest, but it was different this time. Softer. Quieter. She signed slowly, "It's okay. You showed me who you are. I'm grateful." He frowned. "What does that mean?" Ben, sitting beside her, looked up and signed to her, "You don't owe him an explanation." Then he turned to Ethan and said aloud, "She deserves someone who sees her heart, not her hearing." Ethan's face flushed. He opened his mouth, closed it again, and left, for the second and final time. Lila sat back, exhaling deeply. For once, silence didn't hurt. It felt like freedom. Ben smiled at her. "You handled that beautifully," he said with his hands. She smiled back. "Because someone reminded me I deserve better." He chuckled. "Good advice, huh?" She nodded. "The best I've ever gotten." Oliver leaned against her arm, yawning. Ben started to sign, "We should probably get going. Bedtime for this one." But before standing, he hesitated. "Would you, maybe like to meet us again? Maybe dinner? Or ice cream?" Lila felt warmth spread through her chest. "I'd like that very much." He grinned, writing his number on a napkin and sliding it across the table. She took it carefully, her fingers brushing his. When they finally left, the cafe felt different. Softer, brighter. The world hadn't changed, but something inside her had. She watched them walk away, the man who spoke in her silence and the boy who drew her into their sun. For the first time in a long while, Lila didn't feel invisible. She didn't need to hear the world to know she was part of it. And somewhere between heartbreak and hope, she realized that sometimes, the love meant for you doesn't walk through the door to impress you. It sits quietly at the next table, ready to speak your language, even when the rest of the world never tried to learn it.